Hi, thanks for joining me back here at Ready to Ride, and welcome to a glutes strengthening program today. I don't recommend that you necessarily try all of these exercises for your glutes in one go, but the aim of today is to give you a few examples of exercises you can do that work your glutes a little bit harder if you feel this is an area that you really need to target. Your glutes are a really important set of muscles for several different reasons. They are your powerhouse muscles of your bottom, which is why they're so big. They also provide a lot of stability for the low back, hip and pelvis area. If you have problems with back pain, they can become a little bit weakened. And if you're doing a lot of jumping or any work where you're in a forward seat position, they're really, really important as a rider in helping you maintain that position, helping you not load the horse's forehand by keeping your balance in a much better position. If your glutes are weak, you're more likely to fatigue quickly and then be leaning forwards over the horse and make the horse's life much harder when it's trying to pick up over a fence and so on. So working on your glutes is a really important thing for you to be doing. This session is going to be based on lying down exercises. We're also going to incorporate a stretch, which is not essential to do, but it can be a really nice exercise to do. In another session I will be covering things like more weight-bearing standing exercises for your glutes. This is just lying down exercises, quick snapshot for you. So I'm going to start off lying on my side, and we're going to do a progression of the clam exercise. So your clam exercise, you need to be lying with your feet lined up with your bottom, mouse hole open and your pelvic floor onto floor 3. As always with this exercise, I suggest you put your top hand onto your top headlight so you get that nice bit of feedback of positional control. Keep your pelvic floor lift onto floor 3, and then you're going to take your feet off your mat. And then you're going to open and close just like you would for your normal clam, but because your feet are off the mat, it's going to make the movement that much bigger because your knee is going through a greater range of movement. And this is great because it means it works your glutes through a much bigger range of movement. And if you're finding this is quite easy, then you can add to the challenge by opening the knee, then straightening, then closing your feet and closing the knees. So I prompt it by open, straighten, bend and close. Some people find the coordination of this quite tricky, so have that little mantra: open, straighten, bend and close. And as well as working your glutes, I think this is really good for lower leg coordination as well. So if you're someone like me who on one rein in particular finds it a little bit tricky sometimes with moving your legs for the more lateral A's, moving your leg back and keeping stable around the pelvis, this is a really good exercise to do. Okay, so bring your feet back down. Now you're going to straighten your legs. Still keep your mouse hole position open and your pelvic floor onto floor 3. To start off with, you might want to have your hand onto the mat for balance with this one, and you're just going to start off nice and simple by lifting your leg and slowly back down. So this is a nice simple one to start off with, lifting and lowering, keeping mouse hole, keeping pelvic floor, and then if you're finding that easy, you can again take your hand away. But we're now going to ramp it up through the levels. So you might want to put your hand back on the mat again. It's important you do stay balanced through this because you're now going to take your leg through as big a range as you can. So once again, you're starting to increase the range through which those glutes are working. And again, the stronger those glutes are through as much range as possible, the more use they're going to be to you when you're in the saddle. Still keep checking mouse hole and pelvic floor. You'll be sick to death of me saying those before long. And then we're going to change it up again. So this time I want you to turn your toes up towards the ceiling. Then it's exactly the same movement. You may well find that you can't move quite as far into the movement. That's okay, it doesn't matter. You're just working a slightly different portion of your glutes, still keeping mouse hole and pelvic floor and keeping that top headlight pointing straight ahead. Okay, give the leg a little bit of a breather. Check mouse hole, pelvic floor, top hand onto your headlight if you can for this one, and we're going to finish off with a circling exercise. So you're just going to do 5 circles one way and 5 circles back round the other way. And then rest the leg back down. Check mouse hole and pelvic floor, and then off you go again, aiming for 5 each way. I've said it before, I'll say it again, I'm absolutely rubbish when it comes to counting. And with this exercise, I'm not too worried if you can't make it a perfect circle shape. The point much more is that this is about hip control, about keeping your spine in neutral, moving from the hip, not moving from the knee, not moving from the foot, moving purely from the hip, and that comes from a stable pelvis and good strong glutes. Okay, so give that leg a little bit of a breather, and you're going to swap to the other side. We're going to do exactly the same thing on this side, so starting off with the clown position, so feet lined up with your bottom, mouse hole open, pelvic floor onto floor 3, top hand onto your top headlight, feet off the mat and opening and closing. Always looking for that nice smooth movement, so no jerking, no snapping down, keep the movement smooth the whole way through. And then when you're happy with that one, you add in your extension, so open, straighten, bend, close, open, straighten, bend, close. Still looking for that nice smooth fluid movement. Keep the mouse hole open, keep the pelvic floor on floor 3, so your pelvis is stable, but you're really working your glutes and you're going for that coordination of your lower leg as well. A lot of people with this, if they struggle with this part, it's struggling to reconnect through the feet. So this is really good for your body awareness, making sure you know exactly where your feet are in relation to each other, and therefore when you're riding, in relation to the rest of your leg and to your horse. Feet back down, straighten the leg, hand on the mat in front of you to get you started, mouse hole, pelvic floor, and then into the lift. And keeping that neutral spine, neutral pelvis. If you find it easy, top hand onto the headlight, as long as you can keep your balance. And then make it that bit harder by taking the leg through the full range. Really working your glutes, but making sure your spine stays in neutral and you don't start to sink down into the mat. Nice, smooth, fluid movement. And then to change it up, turn the toes up towards the ceiling and work that slightly different portion of your glutes. So hopefully with doing this range of exercise, if you do choose to do them all in one go, you're giving all the different parts of your glutes a really good workout through lots of different ranges, which is great. Okay, so bring that leg back down, have a little breather for a second. If you want to start off this next one with your hand on the mat, that's fine. Otherwise, if you're happy, hand onto your headlights, check mouse hole, check pelvic floor, and into your circles. So it's 5 circles if you can in one direction, and 5 circles in the other direction. And I'm not too fussed about the shape of your circles, it's more the fact that you're keeping your leg on the move whilst keeping your pelvis in neutral, keeping your knees straight, keeping your foot straight. Lots of people end up doing things with their feet or doing movements with their knees. Particularly if you start to get tired, that means you're then not working your hip muscles, not working your glutes. This is all about stamina and strength for those hip muscles, those big powerful glutes. The other thing just to be aware of is making sure that your leg stays directly over your lower leg and doesn't start to drift forwards or sink down. So be really strict if you can on making sure it stays right over your lower leg. And again, that's a bit of body awareness for you, making sure that your leg is going exactly where you want it to be. Okay, so rest that leg down, and now we're going to finish off with the stretch. So I want you to turn onto your back. And I'm going to start off stretching with my right foot in front of my left knee. Now some people find this exercise really, really difficult to do because they can't get into the position. If that's you, you can prop your head and shoulders up, or you can modify it and just do the stretch by pressing with the hand against that knee and stretching the knee away. If you can get into this position as a start, then great, this is how you do the stretch. So you pop your hands behind your left thigh, keep the back of your pelvis flat onto the mat, and then pull your left knee towards your left shoulder, and you should be feeling it all the way down through the right buttock, and into your right thigh. Hold that for about 10 seconds and ease the stretch off, let the leg rest back down again. We carry on with the same side, so once again into that stretch, left knee towards the left shoulder, but keep the back of your pelvis flat onto the mat. The temptation is very much to roll to one side. That takes the stretch off. Ease off. And we do one more this way. So again, left knee towards left shoulder. Ease that stretch off and then swap your feet over. So now you've got your left foot in front of your right knee. Likewise, if you struggle to get into position, left hand onto the left knee and push it back, you'll still get some degree of stretch. Otherwise, both hands behind the right thigh, and this time exactly the same, but it's right knee in the direction of your right shoulder. And you should feel that down through your left buttock and into your left thigh. Ease that stretch off. And after a pause, bring that stretch on again. Right shoulder towards your right knee. No, right knee towards your right shoulder even. And make sure you try and keep that pelvis flat. So I was just starting to tip over a bit to the right, so easing that stretch off, cheating. Okay, foot slowly back down. And then one last stretch into this position. So right knee towards right shoulder. Hold for one last stretch. Ease that stretch off, both feet down, and we're done. Okay, so like I said, you don't for one moment need to do all of those exercises in one go. You can just pick and choose any combination of those. But if you feel that your glutes are something that really needs to have some work, particularly if you're quite fit and strong anyway, and this is just an area that needs to be topped up, by all means give all these exercises a go in a group together, because it can only improve the stamina of your glutes. It's not going to do you any harm, provided you don't really overdo it. The other thing just to bear in mind with doing these exercises on your side is that you may well find that one side is much easier to do than the other, and that's not necessarily because you're weak on the side that you think you're working. If you are weak on, say, your right side, you may find that manifests as you being unstable when you're lying on your right side, and you think, oh, I'm weak on my left, but you're not. You're weak on your right, and so you find it harder to balance on that side. So you need to carry on working both sides until you can hopefully get good symmetry between the two sides. So that's it for this session. I hope you found it useful and you found some exercises that you can do at home. Thanks for joining me, and don't forget, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you get regular updates on all the new videos that are coming out. And for more theory and background to do with everything that comes up on this channel, check out the Ready to Ride blog, which is readytoride.online, and I hope to see you again very soon.